Welcome to another episode of the Marketing Mashup podcast. I'm excited for this one because I've got Arron from the Goat Agency. Arron is the co-founder of social and influencer agency, the Goat Agency, along with his former colleagues Nick Cooke and Harry Hugo. After a stint in Dubai, Arron co-founded Sport Lobster in 2012, having raised $17.5 million at Sport Lobster. Arron exited the company early 2016 to start the Goat Agency. Now the Goat Agency are leaders in influencer marketing with offices in London, New York, Singapore and Monaco, working with everyone from startup companies to global brands such as UEFA, Lidl and British Airways. Arron, I've given you a little introduction there. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Lovely introduction.
Thank you. Was that accurate?
It was. It's close enough. Yeah, no, that's good. That's a very macro view of my last 10 years, but it is certainly accurate.
So take me back 10 years ago. Tell me a little bit about. Tell me a little bit more of the details of how you got to where you are with the Goat Agency.
I'm 31, I suppose, for context. So 10 years ago, I was 21, just leaving university, and I went to live in Dubai. I had actually had, weirdly, I'd had 2 armed break-ins at university in Nottingham. So a big reason I moved to Dubai was just because I knew it was safe, and I was just a bit
2 armed
fed
break-ins?
Up. 2 armed break-ins, I know. In the space of 12 months. I was both times, yeah.
What did you do?
It was mad.
I've never known anyone who's...
Well, the first one we came... God, these are long stories, I'm not sure about it. But the first one, essentially, I walked in and the guys were in the house. When I walked in the house with a mate of mine. The second one, I was in the house with my girlfriend at the time. Guy kicked the door down. Completely random, just bad luck. So I moved to Dubai at 21.
Did you get hurt from either of them? Was it...
Not really, no.
Blimey.
The second one, I fought the guy in the house.
Really?
Yeah, it was bad. So I was just a bit... I moved there just for sort of a new start, a new opportunity. I started working at a company called The First Group. Within 9 months there, was in a company meeting, and they essentially said, listen, anyone that can get us a deal in Africa, they're a property development company selling hotels, essentially. Anyone can get us a deal in Africa, we're really looking, and there'll be a big opportunity there. So I started looking, and I managed to find one. I found one in Kenya, ended up going down to Kenya, met the Prime Minister of Kenya, and did a deal with him to put the tallest tower in Africa there. I then ended up going, this is all at 21, 22, I ended up going to Nigeria, Ghana, Angola, setting up offices for the First Group there, and just got thrown in at the deep end because I put my hand up and took an opportunity. And it gave me a level of, people ask, someone actually asked on the vlog the other day, how do you have the confidence to do this? And the reality is, from realizing that everybody struggles with that confidence, and so just understanding that can give you the confidence. And so being put into a situation that I should never have been in as a 21, 22-year-old speaking one-on-one with the Prime Minister of Kenya, I shouldn't be in that situation now. I shouldn't be at 55. It feels like something someone much more important should do. But I did it, and it went really well, and the outcome was great, and that was a real lesson for me in anything that's possible. I did 4 years in Dubai, and I met a guy called Andy Meikle. We then co-founded Sport Lobster, raised the initial funds in Dubai, moved to London. 3 years later, I exited that company. It was a sports social network. We raised 17.5 million, had 2.5 million active users. Both Harry and Nick worked at Sport Lobster. Harry was head of social, Nick was head of marketing. And essentially the three of us in a line at Sport Lobster were running not just the marketing, but all the marketing. And one day we decided, in context at Sport Lobster, we had partnerships with the NBA, the NFL, Cristiano Ronaldo, etc., etc. And one day we decided to give a kid 10 quid who had 100,000 followers on Twitter, who had a football account, told him to essentially download Sport Lobster, set up a profile, and send your followers there to listen to you on Sport Lobster rather than Twitter. And he sent 2,000 downloads from that £10, and it was the best marketing we'd ever done by a country mile. So massive light bulb of, this was before the word influencer meant
I was
what
going to
it
say,
does
was
now,
influencer
right?
marketing a thing back
no,
then?
absolutely not. No, people thought we were insane. You know, we had to pay the guy £10 before he posted, and the assumption was he's not going to post. We're just going to send him the £10 and that'll be the end of it. But all right, it's only a tenner, it's a risk, let's do it.
Yeah.
So that guy worked incredibly well, and it really brought the rest of our marketing into question. We're spending 300 grand a month on marketing at that point. So we were trying everything. We had TV ads, we sponsored Crystal Palace, Gloucester Rugby Club, the NBA, the NFL. We had billboard ads everywhere. Every digital agency going had a go with us. And so we saw this one post that just killed it. We then did as many as we could, as any rational person would. And by the time we'd done 100, we essentially realized that only about 20% of these guys really did it. So 20%, 20 out of the 100 killed it for us. They generated at least 1,000 downloads each, and it was unbelievable. But then a huge number of them did virtually nothing, between 1 and 20 downloads, which was still okay value, but it was very clear that, wow, these people all look the same, but yet they deliver massively different value. So we, purely for our own benefit, started to store that data, started to track when people worked and when they didn't, so we could use them again. 9 months, 12 months after that, we'd used several thousand influencers by that point. We had our own system going. It was working really well, but we were just struggling to scale it that quickly because it was a manual outreach and trial and error. So we used the only influencer agency at the time, that I'm not going to name, who delivered 2% of what they said they were going to. And so we essentially realized, we're already the biggest, best agency at this. We need help ourselves, but we could do 50 grand a month and everyone else could do 500 quid a month. So that opportunity was on the table as I left Sport Lobster. Harry, Nick and I very quickly afterwards formed Goats in August 2015, unfunded, just the three of us, and we got a football client that spent £5,000 with us on the first weekend. We absolutely killed it for him, and he spent 7.5 grand the next weekend, and then 7.5 grand the weekend after, and then 10 grand the weekend after, and all of a sudden we had a 40 grand a month client.
Blimey.
And that literally was how we built the agency. We went from one client to another. We have just done this off people wanting to work with us, predominantly initially off performance clients, where it was very, very black and white whether or not we were the best. Now we do a lot of the stuff we do, you could argue, is more subjective. We still do a huge amount of the performance stuff where it is binary. You know, someone's willing to pay you X for Y. But we just built it on that, and so everything about this agency is a non-agency, self-built attitude. None of us have ever come from an agency background. Harry's 24, Nick's 29. We've all worked at brands previously, but never from agencies. So when we set up Goat, it was just, what would we buy? Like, how do we de-risk it for clients? Well, if we need to create something that every brand, of course, they're going to buy because it's the best in the market, rather than people come out of agencies and they think, okay, how can we skin this a different way to try and get a bit more money out of the brand? That was just never our approach.
So you said, taking it back to when you started the Goat agency, you got that football client pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get those first few clients, and how did you find, how easy was it to scale to where you are now, really?
The first client was difficult and easy. It was a timing thing, and we started in August, started the Premier League season. It's always the best for new sports products like that from an advertising point of view. So we started at exactly the right time, accidentally. And what isn't an accident is we delivered him the best bit of advertising he'd ever got from 5 grand. So, we were lucky, I suppose, to get that first one, and timing was right and everything else. And then how hard is it to deliver it? Incredibly difficult. I'm not aware of other agencies that are able to deliver like we can, because it's really, really difficult. You've got to have an understanding, and you've got to have a data set that you can't make, you can't fast forward this, you can't make it up. You've either got the data on who to use or you don't. And if you don't, the results will show it, because 80% of people don't work. So if you're just choosing people randomly, 80% of everything you do isn't going to work. And the 20% is not good enough to make up for all that. So the results is what it always comes down to. We're a results-based business. We guaranteed at the very beginning, and we still do, we guarantee results to our clients because we're that confident in what we need to do. And people ask me all the time as a new agency, I can't win this work, can't win that work. Make them an offer they can't refuse. Go and anyone that's every month is buying something, if you go in and offer them that same thing for less money or for the same money a lot more, 99% of people are going to take that offer. There'd have to be another reason, usually a backhander from someone or something. That's about the only reason anyone would ever stay in that situation. People want the same thing for cheaper. So that's what we did. Yeah. That's what we did.
And how did you deal with, because you're guaranteeing results at this point, how did you deal with the times you didn't hit those results?
I think it's twice out of 350. And how, with great difficulty, very, very uncomfortable situation, we have campaigns that underperform, that we would rather lose margin or lose money than deliver. But there have been 2 products where the products just has not worked, and they were small level campaigns, but their product was just broke, and both those businesses went under within 3 or 4 months. But it was still a very difficult situation. It's what keeps us honest, to be honest. It's the thing I least want to do is have that conversation with a client, have a conversation with someone where we've said we're going to do something and then haven't done it. So I would do everything within my power to prevent that conversation from having to happen by making sure that we do it. And that's kind of our attitude here, is by any means, we've got to do it. We've got to find a way. If it means we lose on it, or fine, but our reputation's everything. And you speak to the clients that we work with, they'll tell you that we always do what we say we're going to do. That's our guarantees make us do that as well. So we've got this sort of ecosystem that forces itself to deliver because we have to.
I love that attitude towards it. And coming back high level, I think it would be interesting for you to give a little explanation of what influencer marketing is, especially for my audience. There's a lot of people in the B2B space. What is influencer marketing and how does it work?
Yeah, so I suppose I'll start with why are we even talking about influencer marketing? Why does it exist? And that is due to a movement of people from consuming information and entertainment on one channel onto another. And the world has changed like no other time, certainly in my lifetime, but I believe in the last 50, 60 years. The social media has taken people from living their lives looking around to living their lives looking down at a phone, which is, TV never did that. It became a part of your life. It didn't change how you live your life. And that's the big thing with social. So that's the opportunity, is that people are spending time on social media. Now, how do you get to those people on social media? The answer is influencers. If social media stops existing, influencers stop existing. Social's obviously not going to, and influencers is the mechanism of moving people around social. And that's what we've always used them for. They're now becoming a creative channel, but they're fundamentally a distribution channel. They all have segmented audiences. No influencer starts off life talking about everything. They start off talking about something really specific, and they build an audience of 200,000 people that follow them because all they do is talk about gardening, or all they do is play League of Legends, or all they do is talk about Chelsea, or all they do is talk about high-end fashion. Whatever it may be, you end up with very segmented audiences following these influencers. So from an advertiser's point of view, the niche content to niche audiences at scale has always delivered the best value. You want to sell something, you've got products around bridge, go to a bridge club and sell it. Don't go and stand on the street and try and sell it to every random person that walks past, because 99.9% of people are not going to play bridge, but everybody at that bridge club does. So segmentation's always happened. Now you just have the ability to do it at real scale very quickly in a incredibly creative, specific environment, and you have the ability to track everything through. So we're an advertising agency. Fundamentally, that's what we are. We happen to use social and then influencers because it is the best value right now. And people go, oh, what's the best value? Well, the cheapest way to get a 10-second, somebody to watch at least 10 seconds of a video is using influencers, not paid media. The cheapest way to get a load of content created is to use influencers, not a production company. The cheapest way to get a load of press is to use influencers, not a PR company. That's, it's always about value, but this is just another channel.
And how do your clients generally split between just influencers and paid media, organic social, and other sort of elements?
Through us or just in general?
Through you. So they come to you, like, I assume that not all of your clients are just influencers, influencer marketing. They want other bits of social.
Yeah, I think influencer marketing is at the heart of all of it, but we're pitching for global social 3-year management for big car companies and things like that. So now influencers again is the distribution element of social, but it's a social pitch. We've pitched for creative briefs, we've pitched for all sorts of different things, but really it all comes down to we're an advertising agency rather than a creative agency, to be clear. We go up against media buyers a lot more than we go up against creative agencies. The social creative needs to be slightly different to traditional creative, but you don't have to throw away. You have to change it slightly. So there's still a role in this new social world for creative agencies. Media planners, on the other hand, I think was a much more challenging role for them coming up. I think this programmatic paid revolution over the last 10 years is going to come down, and people have been throwing money into the abyss there for a long, long time, not really understanding what it's doing for them. And we're regularly taking paid client budgets and out delivering it by 10, 11, 12 times. It's common for us. So, but yet those same clients are still putting money into paid because they've got a long-term trading deal and they can't just pull it out. But it is going to happen. We're seeing, I think influencer marketing or social marketing spend, but particularly around influencers, is probably less than 0.5% of global ad spend. And I think it's going to get to at least 20 on influencers. I think social itself will be 40, 45 in total. Everybody knows millennials spend all their time on social. What people don't realize is 50% of the workforce now are millennials. So this whole millennials are kids thing is crap. It's just not true. And the world has changed and it's never going to go back. So, you see it. I'm seeing it every day in brands. You walk down the street in London and you see the brands that are doing really well, the ASOS's, the Boohoo's, people like that. And then look at who they're up against, the H&M's, people like that. You've got people they're going out of business left, right and centre because they have not caught this social wave. They've missed it.
Yeah, I saw on the vlog the other day, Harry was saying it's good walking around and looking at which brands are using billboards, because then that's someone you can target because they've got more money to waste.
Absolutely. That's what it is. It's an ego thing, really. The out of home stuff is they want their mate to see it, and then when their friend sees their ad on the billboard and texts them, and I've seen this happen with other people I've been around who have done this, and then they've texted me going, look, it's worked, because their friend's seen it. It's like those people are looking out for it. They know your brand. Of course, they're going to notice it, but the average person isn't looking up, particularly not now. They're looking down. So you want to get an ad in front of that person, it better be on their phone, or you're probably going to miss them.
Yeah, you're right. How do you sort of decide the best influencers for brands? How does that work?
So I think you can only ever get somebody who, like, if you ever get someone to talk about anything inauthentically with influencers, it's not going to work. So the first thing is, should they talk about this? And so client comes to us, pick any client, pick a campaign. We'll look at what are as an advertising agency, we'll look at what KPIs are they trying to hit? What are they actually trying to achieve? Are they trying to get awareness? Are they trying to get footfall? Are they trying to get downloads of a product? Are they trying to sell things? Are they trying to, do they need, is it bookies and they want depositors? Is it Apple Music and they want sign-ups? Like, what is it? That's what we'll start with. What's the KPI? Then we'll go into what's the target audience? Is this 18 to 30-year-old men, women? What is it? Where are they based? We'll look at all the demographics around that. We'll input that into our CRM system, which will essentially then spit out a ranked list around that. So we go input, we want 18 to 30-year-old men who have an interest in football, who have done a tech campaign with us, who have got and then we go into KPIs, who have got a CPV of better than 0.8 of a P, have got a cost per click better than X, have got a cost per download better than Y. And then our system's ruling out everyone that's not going to be able to do it. We end up with a list of several hundred for the little bit that you need. Let's say we need 20, we've got 100. We'll start with ranking 1 in our system, which is they're absolutely the right person to do it and they're going to deliver the numbers. Okay, let's speak to them. Hey, Jenny, this is what we want you to do. This is the brand. Oh, I'm not really sure about that. Okay, no problem. Thanks very much. We'll be in touch soon. Number 2. All right, hey, David, this is the brand. Oh, God, I fucking love them. Great. All right. This is how much we'll pay you based on your past results. Oh, God, I don't really know. Okay, we'll go to someone else. Oh, no, I'll do it. Fine. Okay. All right. Number 3, and we're literally going like that. We've got all these influencers know we're neutral, right? We don't manage or represent anyone. So we're not just being dicks arbitrarily. We genuinely don't care who gets that work from an influencer point of view. What we care about is the results for the clients. There are lots of influencer agencies that are set up to make influencers' lives easier. And while we want to help with that process, our fundamental job is to get brands the best value possible out of their advertising spend. We're very clear about that. For influencers to work with us, they also have to understand that. And they have to realize that we're all part of this system. So them putting the extra effort in to deliver the results might mean more money for them next time. If they don't deliver the results, they won't get. So that's kind of how we're doing it. We're using our CRM, and then we're using 125 native social creatives that understand what works on social and what doesn't. We're doing 3,000 to 4,000 posts a week out of here. So we're getting 10, 20 times the data in a week that anyone else is getting in a quarter. So it's the data that we're seeing, as long as we're listening to it, it optimizes itself all the time.
So is all of the data you have stuff you've collected yourself? Because some people might be thinking, client comes to you and especially in the space I'm in, they'll think, well, we'll just Google some influencers and then pick who might be right. But you've actually got data on the influencers on your own system. So that's something people don't realize. That's really valuable.
And the only way to do that is to be doing it live. You can't retrospectively go back and do it. You have to track as it's happening everywhere. You've got to link in to the back ends of the clients and link all that data in. We don't give that data to anybody. It's the most valuable data set anywhere in the world in this space, full stop, because it's real data. It's not, there's lots of software platforms that have scraped algorithmic data from Instagram and Facebook where it tells you how many followers someone gets and the average engagement rate. But the problem is 3 people with 1 million followers that all have a 5% engagement rate are going to perform completely differently. And one of them might work really well and 2 of them might be crap, and they might all want the same money. So if you just go out and guess, you're going to get burned at least 75-80% of the time. We essentially, the reason when our results are so much better is we're using that 20% that work all the time rather than guessing. Now, in every campaign we use 10 to 15% of new people, so we're constantly expanding our database, but we know the 80-85% are going to deliver all the results for the clients.
How do you find new people?
So a combination of people coming to us, which we get a lot of, several hundred a week, plus we've got an insights and influencer relation teams of 13, 14 in London who are essentially they've got two jobs, which is why it's sort of insight, and part of their job is dealing with influencers, but really their job is the CRM, and you only get to the influencers through the CRM. So it's how the influencers feed into that, where that data gets stored and everything else. These guys are data scientists more than creatives in that side of the business.
How do you try and sell influencer marketing to brands that might be skeptical? Because it is still, in the scheme of things, a relatively new thing. You still see a lot of brands putting a lot of budget into out of home and stuff like that. So how do you sell it to new clients or anyone that might be skeptical?
Yeah. Well, the best solution for skepticism is to deliver, right? So what we tend to do with the vast majority of our clients is we'll do test campaigns. We don't go in and try and get people to put us on 3-year deals. I'm happy to run month by month with clients. Unlike lots of people want to be on a 3-year deal because it gives them a security. Oh, that client's not going to leave us. I've always thought if you do bad work, they'll leave you no matter what contract. So I've never thought that matters, and we've proven that actually we get a lot more money from our clients if we are on a month by month, because by the time they finish the first month, what they thought they were going to spend has changed. You know, they spend 50 grand, it works better than 200 grand they spend elsewhere. Trust me, they're going to spend more than 50 grand the next month. So that tends to be how we do it, is we get in, we show them what this can be, guarantee the results up front. So right at the beginning, they know if we do this, we're giving them better value. If we don't do it, they don't pay us. Either way, they're going to win. And then once we've done it once, they'll come back. You know, how do we get people to sort of see the opportunity? It's a lot easier now than it was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I really had to, you know, like, even so, the amount of people that were like, yeah, but it's like, is Instagram really going to be around in a couple of years? And it's like, at least I don't have to do that now. People understand social's not going anywhere. People are throwing shit at influencers, particularly advertising agencies. All of the big media companies for 3 years have been saying that influencers is crap, it doesn't work, it's this, that and the other. And then in the last 6 months, they've all launched their own influencer agency. 2 people, they don't actually do any of it, they pass it. But, you know, they're going to try and protect themselves. This channel is so much better than the other channels that if I owned an agency in one of those other channels, I'd be worried about it too. So, you know, I think there is skepticism. There's some of it correct, because I think there's a lot of people not doing this right. And to be honest, we come up against a lot of our clients will have tried it themselves and will have had not a great experience. And my job is to show them that we're different to that. We've got a completely different approach to everybody else. Nobody has the model that we have. Nobody has the data that we have. Nobody's given the guarantees that we have. So we can de-risk it a lot more than other people can, which gets them in the door. And then when you deliver, all that fear goes away. Like, it becomes something they're worried about to the most exciting thing that they're dealing with. And that's the advantage of being in our space. People's kids help us a lot as well. Like, there's 2 type of people I want to see in a meeting. One is someone young who understands social themselves, because if you're under the age of 30, I don't need to tell you that everyone's on social. I don't need to tell you that you've thought about not subscribing to Sky anymore and all these sorts of things. Whereas a 45-year-old just hasn't grown up with this at all. So they're not going to have that opinion, but their kids do. And the amount of senior brand people I meet in their 40s and 50s with 7 to 15-year-old kids who, the second I start talking, go, oh my God, yeah, I get it. That's every night. That's all I see. They never watch this. They're always on YouTube. And what the hell is this person? What the hell is this? You know, they know it. Yeah. They see where their kids are spending their time. So, and that's the real thing is if people understand that consumers spending time on social, then of course they have to advertise there. for me, that's obvious. And so the first thing to realize is that. And then what's the best way to advertise there? Well, I'll guarantee our results up against paid, and then it's pretty self-explanatory from that point. I make it sound a lot easier than it is. And lots of clients don't see it. We don't win everything that we pitch for. We've had lots of clients who have come back to us 9-12 months down the line. Somebody leaves who was against it, but the rest of the team was for it. They bring us back. It happens. It's, and then the downside of the industry, I think, is that people are looking at this space as a quick way to make some money. So you've got some unsavory characters in it that are not really trying to build any long-term value, are just trying to make some money. You've also got some very good people in it, not just us. There are lots of incredibly talented people in this space. Uni lad went into administration. We were a bidder of it. I knew every bidder personally. They're all friends of ours. That went for 14 million. Everybody that bid that I was aware of was under 30. So, all proper money and big businesses that they've built, young, smart 20-year-olds in London. And there are some really, really clever people. And London is an epicenter for social. You've probably got close to 50% of the major players in this space within a mile of this office, globally. So, yeah.
That's really, really helpful. It's insightful to me to sort of your model of guaranteeing results is not something you ever see in B2B demand gen, and there's a reason.
You don't see it in B2C either. It doesn't happen. People don't get it. They don't understand why we do it because we're impatient and we don't want to wait for people to see the value of this, and it's a way for us to shortcut it and de-risk it, but we don't need to. A lot of the time we don't need to, and we do it anyway. And it's just become part of our DNA now. But I regularly come up against clients and we'll be talking about the guarantee, and because I think other agencies talk about guarantees, but they don't mean it. It's not a guarantee. For me is guarantee it on payment. If it doesn't happen, don't pay. Anything less than that's not really a guarantee. It's a contract that could be broken based on terms, whereas we're happy to actually guarantee. If we tell you yes we can do this, then yes we can do this, and if we don't do it, that's on us. And so maybe that's naive, and that again I think is because we're not agency people. We've 120 people in here, 125 whatever it is now. There's I think less than 5 that have come from agencies. Now, the ones that have come from agencies are very good, but loads of people have come in here and gone, oh, when I was at this place, we used to do it like this. Everything we do here is different. Everything. We're not set up in the same way. We don't know how an agency is set up. We know what the most efficient way to deliver this is, and that's what we've set up. But then we found out 2 years after being an agency, oh, no one else does it like this. Everybody else has their account managers do the sale. They have a client, that's their clients. They wine them, dine them, they take them out, they do everything. We have departments here where the client gets passed through. We have experts in each area. When it's time for them to talk about the creative, they're with the creatives in the business, the best creative people, not the account manager. The account manager is there to keep it all together, but we have specialists throughout, which again was just how we thought was the logical way of setting it up. And it sort of, we realized when it's too late, oh, no one does it like that. So with people try and come in here and make us do things like everybody else, and that's what we won't do. We don't, just because someone else has been doing something for 20 years is not a good enough reason to do it for me. It needs to be because it's the best option.
Yeah, definitely. What would you say is the average age of people?
24 in here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Blimey.
Yeah.
Like if you say that to any other
it's mad, isn't it? Yeah.
Marketing agency,
yeah, it's crazy. But we, it comes back to where people, how people have grown up, and we've got professional people in here. Otherwise the average age would probably be 20, but the bulk of our campaigns team are young, and their understanding of social, of video editing, of things like this is innate to them, and it's very difficult to understand it's very difficult, if not impossible, to train someone who isn't innate in that to become as good as they are, because you just don't get it. It's like if you went and handed a smartphone to somebody from 1910, even if you spent 2 weeks with them really showing them what it could do, they just would not have that same understanding as the people that have grown up with it. We do things without even realizing we're doing things, and that I think is the big reason that our age is what it is, and it will age up with the industry. Where when we can have 35-year-old social natives, that's great, but at the moment, very difficult to get them. They'd have to be real early starters to be 35 and have really ridden this. You'd have had to be on Facebook within a year or two of it starting, to have got it from 13, 14 up. So, but that does brings problems. Not problems, but it brings a
different set of challenges.
Yeah, set of challenges. Yeah. We've got an incredibly young, hungry, motivated workforce that truly understand what they're doing. But we've got a young, hungry, so we've got to manage that very well, and we've got to try and educate them on the other sides of things. When it comes to understanding of social, we don't have to teach them anything, but we have to teach them more on the general stuff, how to manage clients, how to deal with expectations, all those sorts of things that people would know if they've been working for 10, 15 years, because we've got such a young workforce. Lots of these people, it's their first job. So it just comes with any company where a lot of people, it's their first job, you're going to have to train that in. But honestly, I'm continuously shocked by how brilliant that set of people are and how unbelievably talented this, certain people in this generation can be. The ability to make things happen in hours because of your phone has given people a new mindset. It used to be, there's this project we want to do, right, let's set something in a week, then we'll talk about it in 2 weeks' time. Like in this office, that all happened in 6 hours because people have a WhatsApp group set up in 30 seconds of the conversation starting, and then it's just bang, 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 bang before you know it. So
yeah, that's a really refreshing approach. And something else that's really refreshing is the fact that the Goat agency do a daily vlog.
Yeah.
You've seen Gary V do it, and Stephen Bartlett of Social Chain did it for a little while.
Yeah.
What made you start a daily vlog?
Honestly, we felt like we were becoming hypocrites by not doing it. That was the real sort of... I'd started to sell it to other people, started to tell clients they should be doing this. And no one ever said, oh, why aren't you? But it was always in my mind as I was talking about it. And we knew we had to. We knew we should be doing this. We didn't want to for the same reason that everyone else doesn't want to. And that's because you put yourself out there, you become at risk, people might not like you, it might hurt your ego. That's why we didn't do it. When we finally decided to do it, it was an acceptance of, well, fuck that. Like, this is ridiculous. We can't make decisions based on that. We need to do this for the business, so let's do it. With everything we do, when we make a decision, it happens 10 times quicker than people think is possible. So Friday, we decided we were going to do it. On Monday, we put the first vlog out. Monday morning, we had 4 new starters here in the video team, and the first vlog went out that day. We're 72, 73 vlogs in now. And I think it's the future. I think it's a new type of entertainment that every business should be doing. I think it will replace websites. It will go alongside social pages. It will sit on your social pages. And when someone wants to find out the best way for someone to find out what we do is to go and watch our vlogs, right? It's because then it isn't me telling you what I want you to think. It's what we actually do, who's actually doing it. It's the real stuff. It's a documentary rather than a show reel, which is a very different thing. We've had lots and lots of clients come to us since we've started doing it, saying that they want to start doing it. And I think you're going to see a massive uptake in video content being produced by brands, whether that's daily vlogging, whether it's weekly vlogging, whether it's a vlog or it's content on a sofa, whatever it may be. brands are going to start, and agencies and everyone else are going to start putting out content on a regular basis, because why not? You've got a social page, people are listening, talk to them, and the benefits are wide. They're much wider than we thought. We did it at the beginning to honor what we stand for and what we believe in, and also to try and, for PR essentially, to also show people who we are and what we do. The real benefit alongside that we've got is the staff morale, the staff understanding of what everybody in the business is doing has been unbelievably powerful. Everybody knows. One of the most common questions we used to get whenever we do staff surveys and things like that to us, try and find out what people are thinking, a lot of it would always be, what are you guys doing? Like, I see you here and there and on that. What were you doing in Zurich? What were you doing over there? Like, what is that? I didn't know where you were. And this takes away from all that, because everyone can see it. You see it the next day across the whole business. I haven't been to our Singapore office yet. In fact, none of us have. Me, Nick, or Harry. I will be going soon if any of you are listening to this. But we know them. I've seen them on the vlog. I see it every day. Like, I know the people I'm going to meet. They know us because they're watching the vlog every day. In the satellite, in Singapore and New York and Monaco, they're all sitting together watching it together as a thing. In London, it gets dropped at the end of the day. But that impact has been enormous. And, there are big clients that I'm speaking to that you would think, they're not going to vlog, are they? But they will. And they'll do it, a lot of it for that. Some of it for their CSR, but a lot of it for just pulling their employees together, getting everyone on the same page, having something that people believe in. I mean, we're getting job applications now. We get 500 job applications a week. Yeah, it's nuts. And that's picked up by 5 or 6-fold since the blog started. It's non-stop now. And the better the blog is, the more the job applications come in. It's very directly linked. So, I think there's lots of reasons to do it. I just think it's another type of content. It's a type of content that you couldn't have possibly produced 4 or 5 years ago, because technically the equipment wasn't good enough. Now, like, we've got cameras and everything and editors and all that sort of stuff, but for anybody watching this thinking, I want to put daily content out, the first thing is just do it. Just stick it out there. But the second thing is, you don't need anything other than your phone. You can do it all on your phone. And I've seen bits of our vlogs are filmed on our phones. Sometimes you can't tell when it drops in, when it drops out. Like, the quality isn't that different.
All the guys in Singapore are all doing it on their phones.
Yeah,
so yeah,
exactly. So, there's no financial reason to stop it. The only reason people that don't want to do it is because they don't want to put themselves in that position, or because they think everybody doing it is a dickhead, which, is their opinion, and they might not be wrong. It takes something to do this personally every day, to put yourself out there. And I can say that I have to sort of try and not be bothered by any of it, not think about it, not worry about how do I come across, how do I look there. But it does affect me. Of course it does. I'm a human being, Friends of mine will be like, I thought you came across as a real dickhead today. And I'm thinking, oh God, no, what's, and then sort of 10 minutes later, I'll be like, I've just got to forget this, because this is going to happen. And you need to listen, but you also need to understand that if you're doing anything significant in life, some people are going to go against it. I think there are lots of people, not lots of people, there are a few people doing it in the space. You mentioned Gary and Steve. I think they're both doing very different things. They're them and we're us, I think, is the biggest thing. And I don't think we're anything like Steve or Gary.
You're not.
I don't think our businesses are anything like them. I don't think personally as people we're anything like them. But I don't have any problem with them, and good luck to them. Bits of their content I think are really good. Bits of it I think are really wrong and aren't good. Bits of the messages I don't agree with. But that's for them. I think they're going after a different audience to us as well. They're very much going after the the young aspirational entrepreneur, whereas we're not really. We're not telling people come and listen to us because we're going to tell you how to become a millionaire. We're saying come listen to us if you want, because we're just showing you what real life inside a incredibly fast growing London agency is. If you've got an interest in that, great. If you don't, have a great day. You know, like we're not trying to get 1 million views on this. You know, this is not a scale thing for us. We're trying to hit, this is a B2b play. We're trying to hit marketeers at brands, not 15-year-olds that want a job. Now, we obviously get the job. People come in from that because it's going to be part of it. But our goal is to touch those CMOs, those marketing directors, people in the marketing team, CFOs, right? For everybody, there are different things that you could follow. Anyone that's been involved in a very fast growing business will see a lot of things that happen here and think, oh God, it was like when I was there. Anyone that's been in an agency will see things and be like, oh God, yeah, I remember when that, you know, we're just a group of people trying to do our best. You know, we've got a product that's genuinely best in class that we're incredibly proud and bullish about, but we're also don't think we know everything, and you know, we're learning every day, and we just try and put that out there and be as open and honest as we can without, you know, without putting anything too confidential in there, which is obviously a problem. We film all the time, and so everything you see is natural. We cut things that can't go in, and a huge amount gets cut, but we never stage anything. We've never sat down and gone, right, we're going to talk about this. We just, as you saw when you walked in, people are just filming, and if it gets captured, it gets captured. And there are some days where we finish and we've got 40 minutes of brilliant content that we're going to put into a 6-7 minute, and others it's, oh fuck, we only got 3 or 4 minutes there, and it's like, well, it's what it is. You got to put it out.
Yeah, and I've personally really enjoyed watching the vlogs, and they are very different to the other two I mentioned, and I expect it's good for new business as well. And actually, when you go into meetings, they feel like they know you a little bit more. Yeah, I've come in here, I feel like I know you more than if I hadn't seen the vlogs, and I'm looking around the office and recognizing people from the vlog. Yeah, and that's a really bizarre thing, but
yeah. So I've our staff get it a lot more than I do. Harry gets it all the time. Yeah. People come up to Harry constantly talking about this. The best example with that was we got approached by, God, am I going to name him? I'm not going to name him. Somebody very, very high up at FIFA who came in here. He sat with us for an hour and a half. Really, really smart guy doing some proper stuff there. It's really and good stuff. And we didn't pitch at all. Sat there for an hour and a half. I said 5 or 10 minutes worth of stuff. We're answering questions he's asking, but he'd watched all the vlogs. So he knew us. He knew exactly what we were doing. He knew what the business was. He knew us personally. He trusted us to an extent because he'd seen us time and time again. And, you know, if you watch the vlogs, you'll see us in good times and not so good times. And it's, you know, you see how we react. And so that was the first time where I thought, oh, wow, this is powerful, because I don't have to pitch here at all. He's already sold. I just have to manage the process, because our pitch was done when he watched the vlogs, and we weren't even pitching when he watched the vlogs. So it's a beautiful dynamic when you can get it right. People walk into your office wanting to work with you, and you're the one trying to sell them stuff. It's a great place to be. And
it's a really big investment for you guys. 4 full-time people on the vlog team. Am I right there? Yeah. At what point would the vlog be considered a success? Is it already a success now? Yeah,
definitely. We've had clients come to us from seeing the vlog already, so that's pretty much covered what we've sunk in. I would say the staff benefit makes up all the rest of it already. The buy-in from them, the extra mile they go for GOAT, in part because of it. I think there's a huge monetary value on it. I don't know. It depends. It depends what you value. We value innovation. We value being at the forefront of things. There's a huge unfinancial but still financial value on that for us, and that's really important. But it is a significant investment. You've got to get it right, and we've got some really good people. We're not doing that lightly with those 4 either. But yeah, I'd say it's paid back. Has it paid back in a client spend against it and then a profit against it? Pretty much, but it certainly has.
And you're only 3 months in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's building and building and building. The views are going up, but we haven't even tried to get this out there yet. If anyone can distribute this vlog anywhere in the world, we can, and we haven't done anything. It's all organic. We haven't touched anything because we want to make sure it's right before we do it, and we're not doing it to get 100,000 views an episode. We're doing it to get the right people watching it. So, for us, it's just been about products and about quality and about making sure that what we're doing is real and also sustainable. We've had to ensure that we can do this long term. We don't want to go and shout about this and then 6 weeks later stop because it looks terrible. And so we had to be certain that we could continue this from a time point of view and a resource point of view. I get filmed all the time, but I don't spend any time on it. I'm not sat down looking at edits. I never see them before they go out. They go out. People are doing it. And that was the big fear for me, was if this was going to take 3 hours of my day every day, I couldn't do it. I have to deal with our clients. I have to deal with our staff. It's more important than that. But we've managed to get it to a point where it takes very little actual time from us, and therefore, the 20 grand a month, whatever it is worth it for us.
Having worked in the B2B space for a few years, I'd be interested to sort of hear your thoughts on influencer marketing in B2B. Can it be applied there, and does it work? Have you worked with any B2B clients in the space?
We have. Not as many as we have B2C, that's for sure. But yeah, we have. The vlog is obviously a B2B product and is being used. A lot of the conversation we're having with clients around vlog is around it being used as a B2B. I think the advantage with influencers for B2B marketing is how niche you can go. And B2B marketing is fundamentally about going niche rather than going general. There's no point in putting a billboard ad up for it if, only 0.01% of people walk past are of any relevance to you. So the advantage of B2B marketers going into influencers is you're going to go really specific. The challenge is it's not that, the scale isn't as big, right? You've got to go, because you're going really niche, it's going to be difficult to find those people. And then when you find them, you've got to do a good job with them. B2B have got to keep influencers happy a lot more than B2C. Coca-Cola can use literally millions and millions of influencers. But if you're trying to shift commercial property in Mayfair, there might be 50 people that have any relevance whatsoever to that and are following and will impact it. And if you go and do something with 10 of those and you piss them off, you're in real trouble. So you've got to be a lot more careful. You've got to spend more time trying to actually, it's almost a cross between influencer and PR, right? You've still got to get that person to really advocate for you, rather than they won't be as easy to buy as the B2C influencers are. But if you can do it, it's the most powerful form of advertising. I mean, somebody like Gary Vee is a B2B marketer's dream. I mean, if you're an advertising agency and you went on Gary Vee's podcast or something like that, and he said, "Oh God, I used them for a campaign last month. They were the best agency we ever used." I mean, you'd have to take the phone off the hook. It wouldn't stop. So, I think it can be used, but it's not. People are not using it in the right way. What you can't do is use B2C general influencers and try and think that that's B2B. You know, we've done a lot of stuff with Club Wembley, for example, around the B2B stuff, where we're getting influencers to Club Wembley to showcase it and then try and sell it on, for example. And we first started, we were sort of, people were looking at people that were famous and then had a bit of business, sort of, I don't know, like, and I saw it was just like, what on earth is going on here? Partly from the client, and partly from our team. And when we nailed it for them was when we just realized that this was a longer onboarding process than a traditional B2C celeb, and we had to do the full Club Wembley pitch to these people several times over in order to get them to really advocate for it, because they didn't give a shit about going to Club Wembley. If somebody offered me I get offered every football ticket going, right? I don't if anyone's got up for the Champions League final, I will have it, but but I can, like, we get Club Wembley tickets all the time.
Yeah.
So offering somebody like me, oh, do you want to go to Club Wembley? It's like, well, maybe, but what are we going to talk about? You know, it's going to have to be something more than that. And so making it a space that people can use for meetings that are slightly different, talking about, well, have you thought about bringing a client here? We could put you here. You could, you know, selling it in a slightly different way to the actual influencer was what enabled us to get a completely different set of results. It was all in the call to action, essentially. So yeah, I think B2B influencers is the next phase of what's coming, right? We've seen B2C take hold everywhere. B2B's coming. The influencers are there. It's just brands are not quite using them in the right way. They're going to them and using them as billboards rather than as advocates. And I think that's the big difference. It's one thing to use an influencer as a billboard if you're doing awareness for Malibu or for Cooke or someone like that. But if you're trying to do something that's much more complicated, requires much more detail, requires industry knowledge, it's got to be real. It's got to be genuine advocacy. And the only way you'll get that is by actually advocating to the influencer in its own right. This might take an hour on the phone. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. I think that's a brilliant note to end it on. Arron, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Where can people find you in the work that the Go Agency are doing?
So you can find us at goagency.com. You can follow us on LinkedIn. You can go to Go Agency YouTube channel where you see all of our vlogs. I'm at Arron Shepherd, ARRON Shepherd on every social channel, I think. So find me there.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.